So the PlayStation 5 Pro is out, and the PlayStation 5 Pro has the streets token, because where it is persons should be celebrating that this console is out for the ponies who want it. Now we are having a different discussion when it comes to the PlayStation 5 Pro and what Sony decided to do with the release of this console. You see, it appears that the prices have been revealed, and persons who would have bought the PlayStation 5 Pro is paying a cool $750 for it after tax. That is not including the stand or the disk drive. $750. The PlayStation 31st or the 30th anniversary, that would run you a cool $1,000 before tax. In Australia, you could pay upwards of 1,600 Australian bucks for this PlayStation 5 Pro 30th anniversary. Now, it is being said that Sony only produced just over 12,000 of these consoles. Did Sony know? Does it have a history of scalpers buying consoles and then selling it in exorbitant price? Was Sony aware that there's a high possibility that none of their fans, or maybe very little of their fans, their die-hard ponies, we're talking those ponies who have been riding for miles, would never get this console? Is Sony, or does Sony care about who really buys these consoles? That's the question we'll be asking in this video. On another note, as we are talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro, the PlayStation community, the ponies, believed that at the announcement of the PlayStation 5 Pro that 30 FPS or anything under 60 would have been abolished. They believed that the yoke of anything under 60 FPS was destroyed.
The yoke of the devil has been destroyed.
No, ponies. No yoke has been destroyed as yet, because guess what? According to Digital Foundry, you guys will still be playing games under 60 FPS.
A game, it's kind of like the big gambit they're pulling off there is they're trying to pull off something closer to 60 FPS. Now,
closer to.
Closer, yeah. So we actually did some frame rate analysis at Digital Foundry just off the footage they provided, and we found that it was usually running in the 50s there. It has a bit of a history of this, of kind of like very high quality graphics, but somewhat inconsistent quality in terms of configuration. And then some weird issues like the fact that the city in that area, or the city in that game rather, is super, super CPU heavy and just kind of destroys modern CPUs, especially those in the consoles. So it's maybe not the ideal game to show off for PlayStation 5 Pro. They're also using PSSR there, and the PSSR looks quite good. The internal res I counted there was about 1080p.
I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon?
Better than the checkerboarding solution they had before, for sure there. So kind of a mix of good and bad stuff, but it really is just that kind of one issue that did stand out there. But all the other games I saw did not have corresponding issues. Let's say they all looked pretty consistent and good.
I remember Richard had mentioned Space Marine 2 might also encounter that issue because it is so CPU heavy.
Yeah.
Do you think there are going to be some games that just don't quite get to that 60 mark? It is nice to see the improvement in terms of frame rate for Dragon's Dogma 2, but that was one I was kind of looking at. I don't have an analysis tool, but I can just go through and count the frames, and I'm like, it's not 60. You can. Tell quite quickly at any point in the video, just going through it, that it's not quite there. Do you imagine that could be a bit of a bottleneck for the PS5 Pro for some of these, how do I say, less well optimized games?
Yeah, I think there on PS5 Pro, the problem that you're running into, and it is a significant problem here, is that the CPU appears to be unchanged or largely unchanged. Now, it does look like Sony have opened up a certain visual mode that you can select for developers to increase the CPU clock by about 10%. But other than that, it appears to be the same CPU as the base PS5. So basically, if your PS5 game is targeting 60 FPS, then your PS5 Pro game can also target 60 FPS. But if it's not quite there, a 10% bump in CPU clocks is probably not going to get you there, to be honest with you, right? So there is a little bit of that compromise there where you're probably going to see the same sets of compromises on PS5 Pro. The one other issue there potentially is with games like Space Marine 2 that are very demanding on the base console as well, and they aren't quite being brought up to that higher level of refresh because not every game is hitting 60 FPS in the base PS5 already. And then also, one separate issue that could pop up in some games is that ray tracing, because of its need to create a BVH and manage all this stuff in the background for that ray tracing process, actually incurs a CPU cost as well. So if you have a PS5 game, you're bringing it to Pro, you're adding a ray tracing feature, it's entirely possible that you might have to incur an extra 20% of CPU overhead. And then in that case, you might have some issues there. So we're going to have to wait and see on that one. But at least in theory, that could be an issue potentially with some PS5 Pro games, that they're basically running the same feature set as the base console. They add ray tracing and then they're struggling with the CPU time a little bit there.
So after spending just about $800, we are seeing here that these ponies are not even being guaranteed 60 FPS for all their games coming to the PlayStation 5 Pro, as we could have seen there. We also heard the guy there from Digital Foundry that if a game runs at 60 FPS on the PlayStation 5, it will also run at 60 FPS on the PlayStation 5 Pro, because all they did was increase the CPU by 10%. And if it is you add ray tracing onto a PlayStation 5 Pro game, we are looking at even lower frame rates, because that needs to be taken into account. So, I mean, if a pony wants to spend their money on a PlayStation 5 Pro, I mean, it's their money. Let them do it. But it's very clear that they are not getting the best or the top of the shelf experience with a PlayStation 5 Pro. But is Sony finessing their customers yet again? Let's see. There's more to be seen in this video. So you know what? Let's get.
This is a sickness!
Let's get it. So before we continue, if you are new around here, stay true around here and hit that subscribe button. Now you might ask, what are you getting when you subscribe to this channel? Well, you'll be getting the best Xbox content this side of the 7 seas. Of course, we sprinkle in a little Nintendo news here and there. And of course, we expose Sony for their terrible business practices, and we give you the Sony pony salt. That's what you get here. So hit that subscribe button if that interests you. Now let's get back to the video. But most of you all know that there are good and bad in each company. No matter which company you belong to. But there's something just diabolical about Sony that I just cannot let go. Because it is being reported that Sony has raised the price of their Horizon Zero Dawn, complete edition, after selling it for like $9 or $10, or rather $20 back in the day. They have almost doubled it to $40. You know why? Because they are going to release this remastered version for the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro. So they need to raise the old version that they themselves would have released not too long ago, so that persons can see the value of buying the PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 5 Pro version. How diabolical Sony could be. Why would Sony do this?
Money.
Wait, Sony, but don't you care about these ponies who champion you on Twitter for all these years? I mean, come on.
Money.
More money, more problems, Stanley. You of all people should know that. Let me ask you.
Now let's listen to Game Informer as they report on this story.
PlayStation doubles price of Horizon Zero Dawn after remaster announcement. If you plan on picking up a copy of Horizon Zero Dawn in preparation for the launch of the remaster, get ready to pay a higher price. Earlier this week, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered was announced during PlayStation State of Play. The game, set to release for PlayStation 5, PS5, and PC, brings updates to visuals and performance. For those that currently own the original Horizon Zero Dawn on PS4, the upgrade will cost you just $9.99, £9.99. But if you expected to get a copy of the game from the PlayStation Store now before upgrading, you will to be paying more than you would have just days ago. First spotted by Game Pit Reviews and verified by Insider Gaming, Sony has quietly raised the price of Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition on the PlayStation Store. For the better part of the last 6 years, the game had been $19.99, £15.99 on the PlayStation Store. However, as of September 25th, the price has jumped up to $39.99, £34.99 on the store, doubling its cost. With the price increase, that would put the cost of getting remaster version of the game at $49.99, £45.99 instead of $29.99, £25.99 if you were to buy new from the PlayStation Store. The price increase seems to just be at the PlayStation Store, as you can still get the physical version of the game from stores like GameStop for $19.99 as of writing. You can also find it on the second-hand market even cheaper if it's something you want to look for. Insider Gaming has reached out to PlayStation for comment on the price increase. What do you make of PlayStation doubling the price of Horizon Zero Dawn after the announcement of the game's remaster? Join the discussion in the official community forums.
So there you have it. Sony has doubled the price of an old game because they have just put on a new coat of paint on that already old game. What a thing. So these ponies would be paying a double if they don't want to buy the remaster, they just want to buy the regular complete edition. But this is to be expected by Sony. This is what Sony does. Let me hear what you thought about that in the comment sections below. So as I said before, Sony fans all over the Twitter is saying that the PlayStation 5 Pro is selling out. But who are the ones buying these PlayStation 5 Pro? Who are they? Are they actual Sony fans? Well, the answer is no, because the majority of persons who are buying these PlayStation 5 Pro are scalpers. You see, Sony did a terrible job in the distribution of this particular console. What they're supposed to do is flood the market with the console so that everybody can get the console, so that the scalpers could only buy a certain amount. But they didn't do that. Instead, they had it in a limited amount, and because of that, scalpers are now on eBay selling this for $3,500, $4,000, up to $4,500. Wow, isn't that amazing? This is what the scalpers are doing when it comes to the 30th anniversary of the PlayStation 5 Pro. But let's listen to some disgruntled ponies as they try to buy this console.
PlayStation 5 Pro pre-orders went live and I didn't manage to get one. I'm still trying. I'm back in queue. I was one of the first people in. I even saw the 30th anniversary edition available in America. It was available for I think roughly 10 minutes. I just kept clicking add to cart and it wouldn't work. I tried the standard Pro. I tried just controllers or consoles. I just couldn't get to work. So I'm back in queue. So throughout this live show, if I can get back in, I may try again. I may end up having to be saved by the retailers. I know there are some retailers that will have them available in October, so we'll try then. Some of those retailers, I think, do a better job of protecting the consumer. PlayStation's been pretty disappointing in how they've handled this. I think they should send out invitations to real customers, people with actual accounts, people who have actually been buying and playing games recently.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
So that they could get them, as opposed to the scalpers and the bots that kind of disrupt this entire process. So we'll see. I've got an Edge browser, a mobile browser, a Chrome browser.
PlayStation. Come on, man. I can't add nothing to the cart. I can't add nothing to the cart, man. Why is it always something like this? Here's the Edge. Won't add to cart. Why, man? Damn, man.
So you can hear the pain in that pony's voice. In the meantime, guys, let me hear what you thought about all of this what was said. Let me hear what you thought about You know, these guys trying to get a PlayStation 5, but all these scalpers is buying it up. What you thought about, everything that was said today? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.